What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon, and we are talking about the Nintendo Switch. Here's my Switch, fingerprints and all. Chicken grease on the back. So, before we dig in, I want to really lay the groundwork here, and I want to curb the expectation of this review. And there's a few things you should know from the very announcement of this thing. Let's take it back even further. From the very time I got my my Nintendo Wii U in the house and how dope it was, the first thing I wanted to do is walk away from my TV with the gamepad. And that is what I've been dreaming about. And when the Nintendo Switch rumors came about, whatever the hell they call this thing, but I can't even remember what it was before. That's all I wanted. I wanted something that was relatively the same as the gamepad on the Wii U, and I could take out. It was like a 3D XXXXXLS. You get what I mean? Like it was just something that would be super dope. And here we are. Nintendo did it. They figured it out, and I think it's super dope. And I want to be very clear when I say I probably, and as of now, I have not yet put this thing on the dock to watch it on my TV, and I will not be doing that. I will not be playing it on my TV. What you see here with the two controllers, the Joycon controls and the screen, is how I will be playing this. I won't be doing any of that silly shit with the kickstand and a Pro controller and a tablet. No, this is it for me. I love this form factor. This is super dope to me. It's like a goddamn giant PSP Vita. I love everything about it. Now, in terms of what Nintendo has done here, you've got the tablet itself, which is, as we now know, is the entire console, and you have the two Joy-Con controls that snap onto the side, and those controllers come with numerous accessories. There's this I don't know, they call it the dock or whatever the hell it is, the Joy-Con controller. They both snap into this, and then it kind of has this makeshift controller that feels like shite, to be quite honest with you. And then if you want to use the Joy-Con controls themselves in sort of nunchuck style from the Wii and the Wii U, you've got these two little things that you sort of slide onto the side, and that then makes those controllers each a two-player ordeal, which goes nicely with the 1-2 switch game that they're pushing. So outside of that, this is all I'm interested. Again, the main console, which is a tablet, and then the Joy-Con controllers. This to me is where this device shines, and where it's pretty much less problematic. So when you look at the tablet itself, on the bottom there's pretty much just a notch to get out the kickstand, and there's a USB Type-C charger, which I love because my phone is Type-C and I got a bunch of them laying around. I got one at work, I got two at home, so I have a battery bank, which we'll get into later, that has Type-C, so that's useful. We have at the top, there's a power button to the left, the volume up and right. Then there's that heat vent with a fan and sort of a heat sink. There's a headphone jack, so we know Apple did not make this. And then there's the slot for the game cards, which I have yet to open because, again, I don't support physical media. I downloaded my Zelda, and that was that. So, I mean, yeah, and you've got the two speakers on the back, one on the right, one on the left, and they get satisfyingly loud. I wouldn't say they're mind-blowing. But when it comes to docking the controllers, there's this very satisfying click. Hang on a second. Right, so that's super satisfying. And then you've got at the top of the controller, you've got the left and ZL, and on the other side you've got the R and ZR. Now, I want to give huge props to Nintendo for this. This is something that I wish the Vita had, and this is why I've been sort of gawking over this Nintendo Switch, is because when you look at the Vita was It was very powerful, sort of between the PS3 and PS4, and it could play some of these games. But because there was no trigger, no trigger buttons, the experience of the game just changed, and that always took me out of it. And I didn't quite like that. So shout out to Nintendo for getting the triggers on there and figuring that out. And then there's a plus or minus button, which, as far as I can tell, in certain games serves as pretty much like a select and start button. You've got your thumbsticks. You've got the directional buttons. There's not a D-pad anymore, so those are just direction pads. Right under that, you have a capture button, and on the other side, you've got the home button. Yeah, I really do like the analogs, which is something that have always worried me when coming into the mobile world. With the original PSP, it was dope that they did it. I hated it with my 3DS. I hate it with the Vita. They got it a little bit right, but it's really good here on the Switch. I really love what's going on here, but there's a lot about this thing that I don't like. I know what you're expecting. I'm going to go into some rant about screen resolution. Actually, even at 720p, I find that the resolution is adequate enough. And I understand what the challenges something like this has with battery life. You don't want it to be driving a 4K display and sucking up all that power for the screen. For what? 720 is fine. The screen looks gorgeous. I really like what I see. But my complaints have been shockingly from other directions. In theory, when looking at all of the material from this guy, looking at it at the event that we went to and getting to play with it a little bit, I didn't expect a lot of these issues I was having, but there are some very real issues on the Nintendo Switch. First of all, the right Joycon is just fucked up. Now, I don't want to just say it wasn't weird the way it is for a reason. So what I'm complaining about here is, if you look at a traditional controller, yes, they are offset, but where's my Xbox controller? So when you look at a traditional, you're holding a traditional controller with an offset axis. The slide from the thumbstick to the buttons are way more natural. It's like this diagonal pull that goes up, and it's a natural movement for your thumb. However, when holding the Switch, first of all, your thumb doesn't exactly lie on it doesn't lie on the thumbstick the way you would want it to, mainly because of the way you're supporting the device when you're holding it. And then instead of this diagonal movement, you're really doing this vertical movement, and it just feels so awkward to me. And I've been playing this thing for quite some time, and I still can't get used to it. So much so that I'm willing to trade the off axis if Nintendo could just I don't know what they could do to fix this. If they could maybe put the thumbstick up where the buttons are and bring the buttons down, that would feel more natural, because then you've got sort of the palm of your thumb hitting the buttons. You can do that as opposed to having the palm of your thumbs navigate on the thumbstick. It's just so weird, and I understand why they did it, because when you look at the symmetry of the controllers and you use the Joy-Con in the Joy-Con mode where each person has one and they play in the game, it makes sense that way. So they obviously sacrifice the ergonomics of the right thumbstick for the functionality of the multiplayer stuff with the Joy-Con. I don't like that at all. Give me a choice. I know I praised the triggers and I really like them there. I really like having them there. But the thing with the triggers are they aren't really triggers. And that bothers me. And it bothers me for a few different things. Mainly racing games. Even though they're triggers and a trigger's supposed to have a play to it, these are pretty much just buttons. And if I'm playing a racing game, it's literally on and off. There's no, 50%, 40%. There's no finesse to the controller. There's no analog movement. I didn't really like that at all. The D-pad, I am not a fan of. So it's got these directional buttons. And I think it looks cool. It feels fine. But then I thought about something like Street Fighter because I remember seeing it somewhere. I don't know how they're gonna pull it out, but I saw it playing somewhere on the Switch, and I was like, how am I supposed to play Street Fighter on these things? And I don't know. I'm not too confident in that D-pad. I really don't like it whatsoever. Then we come down to the placement of the charger. Now, this is a 1-2 thing. First of all, the battery life on this thing is suspect as hell. I got about 2.5 hours playing Zelda. That is a problem. And I know, listen, I know you guys know on Lifestyles Defined, we cover tech and we cover challenges like this all day, every day. And there's nothing easy about battery life in something like this device. But which is fine, which is okay. I get it. It's running this game and it's pushing out this power. Fine, I'll live with that. What I won't live with is the battery connector, the USB thing at the bottom. So if you're playing this in the tablet mode with a Pro controller, there's no way for you to play and charge at the same time. Also, if you're playing this, like for me, I this is why I got it, because I travel a lot and I'll be on a plane shortly. I don't know how I'm gonna have the cable running from my battery bank into this thing. It's just gonna be awkward, and I don't like the placement at all. I think it should have been at the top. There should have been something there. I don't know why or how Nintendo did it this way. Then there's the no Bluetooth thing, which I find is just ridiculous. Why does this thing not have Bluetooth? I don't intend on plugging any headphones in. And all my headphones are Bluetooth, and it's just like, really? No Bluetooth? So you can sell me all of this crazy sync technology between the controller and the Switch and all these other controllers 4 at a time and yada yada yada, and ad hoc Wi-Fi this and Wi-Fi that, when I can't get Bluetooth to connect headphones? That is a fail. There are no apps on this thing, and I could beat them to death about things like Netflix and Hulu, and I should beat them to death because it should be there. But simple things like Spotify, something like this is such a dope device to just plug in and listen to some music, and it's not there. And this is what made the PS Vita so special to me. Although it was its own thing, and it was all about games, they still had some apps there. They even had Facebook on that thing. Like, something like this, the hardware is so sexy, it's so sleek, it makes you not want to put it down. And they could have honestly done a lot more with this guy. I don't know if that's on the horizon. They didn't say anything about it, but I think that is also a major fail. As I said earlier, I don't ever plan on putting a game cartridge in this. I'm just not about that physical media life. So for me, downloading is the way to go. And it took me a little over 4 hours to download Zelda from the eShop, to the point where I thought something was wrong with my console. I just sort of been patient and waiting. The number went up so slowly. So that was interesting, especially when you take into account, I think the Zelda's only like 14 gigs or something. So we complain about the speed on the Xbox and the PlayStation. Wait till you get a load of this goddamn thing. And then there's the dock which connects it to the TV to sort of make it this real console. It does feel sort of cheap and flimsy. It looks so much more sturdy than you think it does, than it actually is. But at this price point, at $300, I don't see anything wrong with the build quality. What I do see something wrong with is the dock is pretty much a port replicator. So it doesn't, you plug it in, and what you get on the handheld, the resolution, everything is what you get on the TV. I would have liked to see them put some upscaling into the dock, especially when in today's world 4K TVs are much more common. They could have at least put some upscaling stuff in there to 1080p and 4K, but I don't know what the deal with that is. Although again, I did declare it's not a problem I'm gonna have, but it's a problem some people will run into and they will complain about. So all in all, what do I think about the Nintendo Switch? I think it's dope. I still think it is the best solution for what I needed it for. So for me, I want to have console level games on the go, and I can't get that from the 3DS. I can get it from the PS Vita, but the lack of a thumbstick was something that really bothered me on my Vita. Although I love that thing to death, here I sort of get all of those things smoothed over, but it still does come with problems, like I outlined before. And then there's the major concern about the third-party support. And there's a lot of talk about, is this thing worth getting at the price when there's an Xbox and there's a PlayStation on the market? No, let's not drop it in that category. Let's not compare apples to oranges. I don't think this is anywhere, shape, or form a competitor to a PlayStation or an Xbox. And here's why. On a PlayStation and Xbox, when you buy that console for the console experience, you get things like The Last of Us, you get Horizon, you get the Nathan Drake, and you get FIFA and Battlefield, right? You buy an Xbox, you get Halo, you get NBA 2K, you get Forza, and you get Call of Duty. On this, you get Zelda and Bomberman and nothing else. Some strange ass games in the library. So there's a lot to be questioned here about Nintendo's execution. Will they be repeating the desert that was the third party support? And I would love to have something that could give me a break from Zelda, right? Something like a FIFA. I think that'd be dope. I'd even take a 2K. I'd take something that I can casually play outside of Zelda, but doesn't seem to be the case, and that is a worry of mine. But so far, so dope. I mean, Zelda's dope. I love the hardware here, even with the issues, and I love what I can do with this thing. A full-fledged console game, AAA title like Zelda, without ever having to put it to my TV. Although the battery life is what it is, I felt like overall, if I put this in comparison with something like the gamepad, I wish they, sort of like the Apple thing, people complain about Apple, in a race to make things thinner, lighter, they sort of sacrifice things. So I would have taken something almost as big as the gamepad, but had twice the battery and the ability to replace the battery and real triggers. I would have taken that. This is dope. I'm almost hoping to see Nintendo do something that Sony and Microsoft has done with these mid-console iterations. I would like to see them come out with a Nintendo Switch Pro, something that's bigger, something with real triggers, bigger Joycons with real triggers, and then replaceable batteries. That would kind of solve all of my issues there. But yeah, thank you for checking out the review. Like the video if you like it. Hit the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. If you got your hands on the Switch, what are your thoughts? Are you enjoying it? What are you playing? That's a joke. You only playing one thing. My name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.